What's up, ladies, gentlemen, people, extraterrestrial aliens and everything in between? Today I'm going to be doing another episode of Hero Analysis, where we will be taking a look at a clip from Lips Reaper in the June Joust Finals. First, let's put this in perspective. It's 3-3 in the June Joust Finals between the Dallas Fuel and the Shanghai Dragons. It's overtime and neither team has any time to waste. If Dragons win this fight, then they deny Dallas Fuel back-to-back stage titles and win their first ever match against Dallas Fuel in history. This was quite possibly the most important fight of their entire season, and Lip manages to clutch it up with 5 kills. Let's see how he did it. The previous overtime team fight has just ended, and during that fight both teams build up quite a few ults. However, while both teams have Mines Beat and Diva Bomb, the Dragons are not only closer to Cole but they also are gonna have an Echo copy much sooner, which means that the Dragons should have the slight edge in this team fight. And as the cart edges closer and closer to the end of the second checkpoint, the Fuel start advance into the high ground bridge and the Dragons start getting ready to push out. Coincidentally, the Dragons decide to push up onto the same bridge that the Fuel are set up on. Fate leads the way but immediately gets booped off by Jexay. But on his way down he drops his mines on cart and about 0.5 seconds later Fearless does the same, so now both sets of mines are on point and Lee Jae-gon pops his sound barrier to help the Dragons go more aggressive, and despite not receiving the sound barrier, Fate still rolls in anyways and lands the knockback onto Doha and Fielder. Now here's where Shanghai's defender advantage really comes into play. The Dragons can have all the space they want since the cart still has a pretty good distance to go before it reaches the checkpoint. However, the Fuel have to always have at least one guy on point or else it's just over, and that guy is Hanbin. And unfortunately for him, the mines on point force him to take a ton of damage, and eventually after a bit more damage he is forced to use his self-destruct early. I'd also like to mention that Fate hits a 6-man pile drive on the Fuel and gets 27% ult charge, which forces Jexay to use sound barrier. Now off of just one roll in, the Fuel are forced to use 2 ults just to stay alive, and they probably would have only had to use one if it wasn't for that pile drive forcing the self-destruct. Perfectly timed set plays coming out from Fate, but still no one has died. Even with Void throwing in his Diva Bomb to try and follow up on the pile drive, the Fuel all still managed to survive, likely due to the sound barrier. A few seconds later Flater pops his duplicate and Izayaki builds his Cole and pops it, and for some reason Doha decides to blossom in the middle of their team. Pretty bad idea, but he almost manages to kill Lip. However, off of some great healing and peeling from Void and Izayaki, Lip manages to survive and pops his own Death Blossom, and again he almost dies. But crucially, very crucially, Lee Jae-gon pops his amp and manages to keep Lip alive. That honestly might have been a game-winning amp because Izayaki's healing alone probably wasn't enough to save him, and in the midst of all of that, Fielder popped his Cole and Sparkle popped his duplicate. The Fuel just looking for any space they can possibly get at this point. And now the chaos really starts to ensue. Flater pops his self-destruct up into the air and Fate is right there for the pile drive to follow up. Fearless rolls behind this wall. Jexay just barely avoids the pile drive. Sparkle uses his boosters to counteract the momentum of the pile drive. Fielder's Cole ends just in time for him to fade away from the bomb, and Doha, since he had already used his Wraith form, does this funny tech where he teleports right in front of him and just barely times it perfectly to dodge the bomb, but unfortunately Hanbin wasn't so lucky. Here's where it gets a little confusing. Since all of the Fuel is so focused on avoiding the bomb, Flater swoops in from behind and lands a remech onto Hanbin milliseconds before the duplicate duration ended. Since Fate's pile drive had him stuck in place, there was nothing Hanbin could do to avoid the remech. With no self-destruct to save him and a quick swoop in from Void, Hanbin was now forced into Baby Diva, and unfortunately Fielder might have been able to save him if it wasn't for the fact that he had to fade away to dodge Flater's bomb. It's the millisecond differences that can be the difference between winning and losing a fight. because now the fuel have no matrix to eat up a lot of the incoming damage. But there's not a second to waste. Sparkle throws in his bomb right after, and unfortunately amidst all the chaos Fate rolled out a little too far and fell into the bomb. But as Baby Diva Sparkle is coming down, he lands in the wrong spot and gets killed out of duplicate by Lip and Lee Jagon. But Sparkle's bomb also forced Flater to fly into this stairway where Baby Diva Hanbin finishes him off. So now a fight that should have been in favor of the dragons is seeming to go the fuel's way. This is where the magic happens. After hiding from the bomb in this hallway, Lip quickly walks back out to find Baby Diva Hanbin isolated. 2 quick shots and that's the dragon's first kill of the fight. But as Ayaki has gone down as well, it's now a 3v5 on cart and Lip needs a lot more than 1 kill to clutch this up, so he goes in and hits Jexay once, and Fielder uses his healing orb for what looks like no good reason. This orb was a big mistake. Fielder was probably out of healing juice. But even so, no one from the fuel was really low, and that orb could be much more valuable later in the fight when it gets down to the nitty-gritty. Another small detail to note is that Sparkle pulls out his focusing beam way too early. At no point in the last few seconds has Lip gone below half, so for Sparkle to preemptively pull out the beam thinking Lip would fall below half, even though he's on Reaper, a character who has instant self-healing for 1/3 of his damage, is a really dumb idea. It would have been a much better idea to just keep pumping out shots. Because then, even through the healing orb, 3 more shots and Jexay is gone. And for Sparkle it gets even worse. He doesn't even cancel the beam. Literally no one from the dragons is low. Fate is coming back very soon, and he is just a sitting duck at this point. And Lip decides to do what he does best on the Reaper, punish the enemy's mistakes. He quickly wraiths and unwraiths for an instant reload, and to close the distance, then pounces onto Sparkle with 1 quick shot. Now the fuel are starting to get shaky. Lip punishes a few crucial mistakes and the fuel weren't ready for it, and off the back of the 3 kills Lip has gotten so far, the dragons take more space and the 3 remaining fuel players are forced to fall back. As they advance, Lip hits a few more shots to get Fielder very low and force him to fade away and heal. Or behind this van, Fearless goes for a pile drive to slow down the dragons, but Lip is still pumping out damage into Fearless, and quickly after the pile drive ends, Void goes for the chase onto Fielder and takes him out. Fearless then drops the mines on point, but Fate is now back to drop in some mines of his own. Lee Jagon boops Doha back and forces him to wraith away, in which Lip is right there ready to finish him off. Now it's just Fearless left alive, and despite getting another pile drive off onto Lip, Fate is right there for the counter pile drive and Lee Jagon with the boop off onto the side. 2 more shots and that'll do it. The Shanghai Dragons just barely edge out the victory on Junkertown to take the June Joust title 4-3, incredible heroics from Lip in the final moments. But that's gonna do it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe and check out some of my other videos. And until next time, bye bye.